He's got his new car, and we're gonna be cleaning it up a little bit. It's a little dirty after the trek. We just brought it back from Victoria a couple days ago. Alright, big reveal.
Yeah.
Here it is. This is the new 2000 Toyota Aristo. Jamie and I, we went to Vancouver about 3 weeks ago now to go check out the car originally. Unfortunately, we did not have the cash in hand, so we had to take some time to recuperate and to get back on our feet. I had to sell my manual transmission for my IS300, which went pretty fast, which was good. Then, about a week ago, we went to Victoria, Ian and I. I'll play some clips for you. Met up with this dude. We were supposed to meet him at 5 o'clock, but unfortunately, due to some poor planning, it didn't work out that way.
Hell no!
We ended up showing him at like 9:30 at night. Big, huge, long waste of time pretty much, but oh well, we got it here. And then on top of that, he didn't even have the registration with him.
Oh! Ew!
Dude!
What the f?
So we had to do a little bit of sketchy stuff. Had to drive 3 hours back from Nanaimo, or from Victoria, sorry. Get the car back here, parked it here until he could get the registration to us. But yeah, that's pretty much the shortened story of how we got the car. Everything on the car right now, aside from the wheels, is stock. It does need some gaskets, little odds and ends, but we'll go into that once we show you in the engine bay here. Just super stoked for you guys to check it out, and super stoked to actually own this car. It's been a little bit of a dream for me, so. All right, so everything on this except for this little cone here is stock. It is missing the factory plenum, which I'm not stoked about, but it is what it is. This engine has been unopened. It's got under 200,000 kilometers on it. It does need some love. Coming up on the 200,000 kilometer mark, it will need a timing belt soon. So while I'm in there, I might as well do a bunch of other stuff like the cam seals. If you know 2JZs, you know they like to leak oil a little bit. I got a valve cover gasket I need to do. Nothing too crazy, like I said, really just all stock. Aside from the little filter that'll need to be changed out. So, right before we get into this video, just fair disclaimer, I would put all the tools you're going to need to do this job in the description. You really just need some basic hand tools. If you have a lift, it does make it easier, but you by no means need it. Doing it on jack stand is fair enough. First thing you're going to need is a way to take off your tires. So some kind of socket, whatever size socket fits your wheel and tire setup. And then you're going to need a 19mm wrench to remove the locking nut and the castellated nut. Some kind of pliers or pick, such as this, to take out the little cotter pin, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and some kind of hammer to hit on the tie rod end, but you'll see all that in a second. Today, we're working on the Aristo again. Today's job is going to be the tie rod. So you can see right here. Bad filming, but this is really loose. As you can see right there. That's not supposed to look like that, so 19mm wrench. Pop this guy off. Alright, just got the castle nut off, and you might notice that this is stuck in there. And now what you can do is you can just hit right on here. Try and loosen it up a bit, and if that doesn't work, well then I don't know what to tell you. Might have to pry it down, some kind of pry bar in here, and yank it down, but let's see if this works for me. Alright, so it turns out I just wasn't using a big enough hammer. I did just end up hitting right here. Well, actually Darren did. Shout out to Darren helping me out. And now that that's free, we can go to removing it. There's a little lock nut right here. You're gonna have to take that off and then count the threads on how many times this turns out and pretty much reverse the process from there. Alright, now this locking nut is a 19mm, and I'll probably put this back in just a little bit with the bolt to hold it, stop it from moving like this. As you can see, put this on there, it just kind of wiggles around, so I'm probably just going to bolt this back up in there, put the nut on there, and then break this free. It's free, as you can see, it's moving in there. Now, these can be tough to get off. You can use some heat if you need to, not uncommon. So pretty much now we're just going to take this off. This. That. Now you're going to want to count the threads, how many times it goes around. So for example, that's 1, that's 2, and so on and so forth. And 23. 23 is my magic number. Now yours is probably going to be different, but for me, it was 23. Now all I have to do is take this brand spanking new guy, count it up to 23, and retighten everything up. Okay, so as you can see, I've kind of just reversed the process. Use this encapsulated nut to hold it on while I tighten this thing up. We're pretty much there. Just give it a good old... Now it is recommended you get an alignment after this. Whether or not I'm going to do that, probably not. Alright, got this in, got the cotter pin pretty much ready to go, got this all tightened up. I did notice that there's a little grease nipple for this, which is kind of nice. Can add some grease. On this side it doesn't have that, so yeah, just thought that was kind of interesting. So if you get this style, it's got the little greasable fitting, so don't forget that. It was in here somewhere, don't know where that went, it's not good. But yeah, I'm pretty much just going to open that up and then install that little grease fitting, and we're pretty much done. But I found that it was 7 millimeters for this little guy. And you don't want to go crazy on this, but you definitely don't want to leave it loose. So I'm just going to get it snug. Everyone's opinion of snug is different, but just don't rip out the threads and you'll be good, man. Alright, so I just greased it up. I didn't really put a lot in there. Just squished out a little bit, put a little bit, and you can see it started to come out, so I think that's good. There should be lots of lubrication in there. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. All I'm going to do really is throw back on my tire. While I have my car in the air, I noticed that this tire is like on the wear bar right here, but it's got about 1/8 of an inch up here, whereas this tire is brand new. So I think I'm going to swap these 2 rear ones to the front and my 2 front ones to the back, just because essentially my diff thinks it's turning all the time, and that's not good. I'm going to do that to hopefully prolong the life of my differential. One more thing I did notice with my car, as you can see, it's quite oily. My oil filter looks like it's leaking, but it could be the actual seal behind there, so hopefully not, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm gonna get this all buttoned up, put my wheel back on, swap my wheels back around, but that's pretty much it for installing the tie rod end. It's not really that difficult. Alright, so as you guys just saw, swapped around the wheels, got them all torqued up, and she's pretty much ready to go now. Man, look at her, looking good. Yeah, so more content on the way.